What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expedia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expedia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expediausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the Call Center Contact Center podcast. We try to give you some actionable items, take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve the agent experience, hopefully improve your customer experience as well. How is everybody doing? A couple of my last podcasts, my sound wasn't great, so hopefully this is a little bit better. Lot going on. A lot going on in Expedia and our contact center outsourcing world. We've seen a lot of new work with a lot of the natural disasters that are happening in California. It's been a little crazy, but it's really cool when you have a contact center that actually, it's cool that we're selling things and it's cool that we're servicing, but when you can really help people too, there's a huge bonus in that. And in the auto world, in the auto QA world, we're probably doing about 2 to 3 demos a day. Word's getting out. So really excited with everything that we're doing on kind of both our business units here. But I wanted to kind of take some time today to talk about something that I think bridges quality and your contact center, right? And that's talking about kind of some of these service metrics, specifically NPS, Net Promoter Scoring, and CSAT, or Customer Satisfaction Scoring. For a really long time, these have been the staples. I have been a huge advocate, especially, I think the first time, 2014, 15, 16, I was really an advocate for NPS. I think, when I saw that most contact centers were focusing just again on core telephony KPIs, that was a metric that I thought, hey man, this thing expands. This thing goes to actual what customers are feeling. But then I think it morphed into something that it wasn't. And I think we tried to make too much out of it. And I think that the survey craze has gone so insane that we're peppered with surveys and after-call surveys and telephone surveys and, hey, will you stay on the line for this survey, that nobody really does them anymore. They're annoyed with them. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. Number one is most companies aren't using them. Right, they'll do surveys to check the box so that when the CEO or the CMO says, hey, how are we doing with our NPS? We say, oh, we're doing this, and here's our score. But when they kind of try to correlate that to churn, or when they try to correlate that to revenues, or even agent behaviors, right, a lot of that doesn't make it back into where it needs to go. And now I would even argue that it shouldn't. Because I would argue that a lot of the scoring now is misleading. It's misleading, number one, because we're going to discuss really the small percentage of customers that actually take the survey. And number two, that data is skewed. So not only do you have a really small percentage of customers taking a survey, you have data that is skewed from customers that really are just kind of, I always call it the two poles, right? The people who are really happy or really irritated. And you miss all these people in the middle, right? So, and the other thing is too, is we use this for agent behaviors, and we use this to score our contact center when sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with that. How many times, right, have you maybe had a quality score of an agent that was high? You took and saw their survey for that score that was extremely low from the customer standpoint. Now, there's other issues with that as well. But so many times it's policies, procedures of your business that correlate to what NPS is. And again, that's good, maybe if we know that, but we don't use it that way, right? The agent can't give a refund, So it's following your procedure, did everything absolutely perfect, but that customer's ticked off and blames it on the agent because the agent is the one who told them no. And I think, again, I see too much of that. And maybe I'm just, to be honest, I've been beat up a lot in the BPO space by customers who really focus on NPS. And then you present so much data to them to be like, guys, here's what's really happening in your contact center. We're using advanced analytics. We're using auto QA. We're getting all of this data. We're seeing all of this. And they're stuck on, this one number that really is, sometimes it's the policy, the procedure's fault, not the agent's fault. So I want to talk about a new way forward today here at the end, but let's go deeper into kind of some of the things that I said. Now, I just did a LinkedIn newsletter. So if you want to kind of look at some of the stuff there after this, I'll post the link and it kind of goes deeper into kind of some of the things that I'm going to talk about. But, according to, just listen to some of these kind of, I guess, stats, right? So according to CX Today, the average survey response rate has dropped to just 5%. 5% of your customers, on average, are responding to an after-call NPS or CSAT survey. So you're making massive decisions about your contact center, about your service, about your policies, based on a very small percentage of customers, right? 95% of your customers do not respond to this, right? And we just forget about those guys, right? I think that's a huge issue, right? And this is down, like according to CXA, down 15 to 20% from just a couple of years ago. Again, I think that's a COVID thing. So many people were using contact centers. We flooded the market with these things. Nobody cares about them anymore, right? Think about that again. So let's put that into some, I guess, visuals, right? So we talk about 5%. What does that mean? We talk about 95% not. I think that's a better visual, but right, we're using feedback from just 1 out of every 20 customers to shape our service decisions, right? So again, not hearing close to the full story of what we're doing. The other thing, and let's just talk about that too, right? So that means, right, the majority of our customer base is silent. The feedback trends, again, are small. It's an unrepresented group. And again, there's so much that we're going to talk about now with the data aspect, right? So, and we all know this, right? The extremes are the loudest, right? Anything that's good in your call center, right? An agent gets a really good sale, or they have somebody on the line that says, "Hey, give me your supervisor. You were awesome," right? We shout that to the rooftops, right? It's loud, right? Customers do that too. They shout it from the rooftops when they have good experiences. And that could mean multiple things. Could mean an unbelievably great agent experience. It could mean your policy's amazing, right? Maybe the agent stunk, but your policy's happy. They're happy with the outcome, right? So many variables into that. But also the ticked off. And it's more you will see more irritated customers that will fill out after call surveys because that's their only outlet to do that. Now, I like what I have some kind of stats from Call Center Helper here, right? So, Call Center Helper notes that the most likely to complete a survey are the happiest, angriest customers. This results in a U-shaped distribution of responses with very few moderates in the middle, right? And again, that's the distortion of our data. So again, 1 out of every 20 customers we're listening to, and then those customers are probably really happy or really mad. There's nothing in the middle. We don't get a really good view about what is happening. Now, again, we're talking about after call NPS and CSAT surveys. So if you have an overall service where you're looking at analytics, you're looking at sentiment, you're using this as a piece of the pie, I'm probably okay with that, right? Not that you're asking me, right? But so many don't do that, right? And don't say most of you do, because you don't, right? Most of you are just sending those things out, reading it on a dashboard, getting your survey results, and it's done, right? So again, that's kind of my case for why I think there's issues, right? So, I think another issue with NPS and CSAT is their simplicity. So it's kind of like their strength is their weakness, right? Most are just 1 or 2 questions long. They lack, follow up. They lack room for improvement of what you can do. So again, according to a blog that I saw, so only 20% of respondents leave comments to explain their score, right? And that's even if you give them the option to do that. So again, most companies don't even give the option. They're just asking the blanket NPS, 1 out of 10 question. And so for those that actually do, because it's a pain in the rear, right? You're not going to take the time to write 4 paragraphs. And then if you have any kind of drop downs, that gets skewed because they're just choosing something as fast as they can. So again, you don't know the root causes of these poor experiences. You don't know what actually made the customer happy if they're really happy with it, right? And you don't know what policies, procedures, what the overall is, right? So I think it's a metric that was really good at the time. I think has run its course, and I think that now there's some better things that we can do to get our overall CSAT or NPS scores for what is actually happening in the contact center, right? So again, we just don't want to look at assumptions, right? That's what we're doing when we're doing NPS and CSAT right now today. Most of the time, it's just we're making assumptions. We're not really looking at insights into what is actually happening here. So I like this too, and I wanted to kind of read this. I took a note here. Fred Reichheld, who's the creator of NPS, right? He has criticized companies for, quote, abusing the metric by linking it to bonuses, right? That's the other kind of deal. We all know the smartest people in our organizations are our contact center agents, right? They know how to do anything at any time, right? So if agents feel pressure for high scores or selective, or to be extremely, selective in kind of who they know is going to do these surveys, or they kind of fudge what happens. I mean, how many times in your organization have you sent an after call survey? And I'm starting to see this all the time, that it tells and asks the company to score, or ask the customer to score them high, right? You see that all the time. And you go on LinkedIn every single day. I see that, right? Where they're kind of say, hey, this is how NPS works. We'd really appreciate it if you scored us an 8 or 9, right? To be a promoter. That's a promoter, right? And if you're thinking about scoring us from a 6 to an 8, understand that or a 6 to a 7, understand that an 8 is much better, or a 9 is much better, right? Like it almost tries to skew the results, which I don't know why. Maybe if you're going against some type of benchmarking for an industry, right? But again, to have employees kind of feel pressured to coach customers, because that happens a lot, give high scores. Again, what are we doing? What's the whole point of this? Is it to get feedback, or is it to have a vanity metric that we can put on our website? And if that, I don't know if you need to go through all of this deal. And the last thing with this is, two things that kind of go together, right? Customers, they're just burnout, right? They're burnout on the surveys. Even again, there's another quote from Fred Reichheld, again, the kind of the creator of NPS. He's admitted that surveys have become less meaningful now because they become inescapable. I like that, right? You can't escape them, right? They're just going to be there, and you don't care, right? You don't care. And the last reason, which I think is something I didn't think about until I kind of did some research more into this topic, was, I like this. According to Gartner, 95% of companies collect customer feedback, right? In some shape or form, right? So that's really good, but only 33% use it to drive improvements, and just 5% close the loop and tell customers what changed as a result of them even giving feedback, right? So you want to do NPS right? Start to take that data, start to respond back to your customers. Hey, thank you for this feedback. We actually made these improvements. We did this. Nobody's doing that, right? Again, they're just collecting data for the sake of collecting data. And when customers don't see improvement and they see the same thing over and over when they call, why are they going to continue to give that same feedback? They're not. They're just going to blow it off, right? So again, I think that's my case, my entire case, right, of why I think NPS and CSAT have run their course, right? Nobody responds to it. The ones that do, it is skewed. We don't use the feedback anyway, right? Because the feedback is, most of the time, we're not even asking the right questions. And if we do get feedback, sometimes we're not even sure, what that customer's really maybe ticked off or really happy about, depending on what type of feedback they're actually giving, right? Is it an agent issue? Is it a policy issue? So again, I think there's a new way forward, and the new way forward is with AI, and it's with advanced analytics, and it's getting real-time and historical data that I think we can actually utilize and see. Now, I stopped becoming an NPS promoter, I guess, probably around 2018, 2019. Definitely COVID. And that was when CX1 really came out hard with interaction analytics. So interaction analytics totally opened my eyes to seeing, and again, this is not a interaction analytics video. This is any type of analytics platform. The reason is because I could get real time, meaning within a couple hours at the time, right? When it first came out, I could get customer and agent sentiment scores based on keywords that were being said. So I could get and see what agents were doing. Were they using proper tone, proper word usage? Was that actually having an impact in the experience that the customer had? Because I could then track down to the interaction what that experience was. So for me, it was much, I guess, easier, number one, but two, more useful if I started to really drill into this. You guys have heard multiple videos that I've done that we have for many years now incentivized our agents, right, based on sentiment scores, right? We're paying them more, right, based on, right, looking at how they're talking to customers, especially for those there's no cross sell, there's no upsell, right, on a program, right? A core customer service program where you're really just helping, and those a lot of those don't exist anymore, but they're still there. And again, even if they're not, even if you're incentivizing your agents off of a cross sell and upsell, you still have to solve that core problem. And again, for me, that's where analytics just blows things away. And to look at the time, again, we didn't have really AI. It's funny to kind of talk about times we didn't have AI, but we had keywords, and we knew what words customers were saying that they were not happy about. So we could see if it was agent, we could see if it was Tim, we could see if it was policy, it could see if it was refund, right? So you started to be able to tie in together the behaviors and what the customer was happy, what the customer was not happy with, based on what they were saying. That's way more powerful than NPS. We just don't like it because it was harder to score, right? And so then everybody loves the benchmark stuff, which I think is the most useless thing in the world. I've done videos on that. So we can't benchmark it. Who cares? We know directly in our contact center what is affecting our customers the most, right? Affecting them from a positive standpoint, affecting them from a negative standpoint. What are the actual keywords, and how are the agents handling it, and how are they dealing with it? That's number one, right? Right there is that's still better for me than CSAT and NPS. But with what we've done with auto QA, and again, I don't want to make this a sales thing for auto, because this is more of a general thing that I think you're starting to see, because we're not the only ones doing it, but I don't know. I'm not saying we've perfected it, but I feel really comfortable in our numbers. We've taken, over the last 3 months, survey after survey from customers that have given us kind of permission to do this, right? We've just looked at the scores, and we looked at the call interaction, and we ran those calls against auto and started to prompt a benchmark for NPS and CSAT. Meaning, every single time a customer we're scoring a call with auto QA, we have gotten to the point now where we can give a NPS and a CSAT prediction score of that specific interaction and then start to build, right, the entire profile of the entire customer base. So you're looking now not just at, the 5% and the happy and the mad, but you're looking at everyone, right? A lot of times there's a lot of, 5s and 6s, right? Right in the middle. There's a lot of times where there's not a lot that really happens on the call. That's okay, right? We're really just starting to look at the overall contact center, the overall scoring, and the overall experience that the customer is having. So we're taking analytics and we're adding into AI, and we're getting much better results and much better feedback, right? If we take those two things together, than we get from sending it a 5% after call survey. I don't know if people are ready for this yet. We've been talking about it now for the last couple months. Every time I post or do a video on it, it gets nothing, to be honest. Like, I think that this thing it's so new that people don't believe that it can work that way. Again, my argument was it was already working with analytics. Now we're adding another layer of awesomeness with AI on top of it. And it's not just us. Other companies are doing this too. And again, within a year, right? Maybe it's just a little too early now. This after call surveys are going to go away and people are going to start to trust the AI. Right. So I think, that's been the real, and what's going to happen next to like the next real evolution that we're waiting for is true voice, right? No transcripts, right? Because while we can get a little bit of tone and we can do that when we send to get the transcript, there's some kind of analysis that gets done there. The true meaning of this, and it will blow through the roof when we get true voice, but still, I believe that it is better, right? And looking at, say you're doing, 4,000 to 5,000 calls per month you're scoring, and to get a CSAT and NPS prediction score on all of those calls, right? That correlates to, even the ones that did do surveys, and we look at that, dude, it's crazy powerful. And again, you really want to know what's happening in your call center? Start using AI with it. That's going to be the real tell for you. So again, I still think, even if you want to go old school, you don't want to use any technology, I'd rather you go look on Facebook, if you're big enough, in Twitter, and go see what customers are actually saying there. Because those are the same people who are going to be ticked off that would fill out a survey. So if you're not looking at that and coming up with any type of rationale or function, then why are you sending the surveys? Because it's the same people that do all that. But we love NPS and we love CSAT, and that's all we've had forever. And people's jobs are tied to it, and I get all that. But I just think, a modern CX strategy has to be built on really the full, journey analysis, not really just these isolated, metrics that we get from a survey, coming back. Looking at real behavioral signals that we can get from analytics tied with AI and asking the proper questions, right? And again, doing this at scale, not just taking that vocal minority. So I think that there's a lot to change here. The beginning of it's there. I mean, we're doing it every single day with customers. I mean, you don't even pay extra for it. Like, I think it's that important that customers need to see that. And then when they start to calibrate it and kind of correlate it to their surveys, but they're like, oh my God, Tom, this is something. Yeah, dude, this is really good. So again, hopefully that gives a little bit of, insights. I'm not here to kind of totally change people's minds, because I know that there's a lot of people that they put a lot of time into the NPS and the CSAT, and they are doing it right. And they're tying it to other metrics. But for the vast majority of organizations, this is a cheaper, easier, and way better outcome than you're going to get with just, doing your old survey. So again, I am on LinkedIn Live right now. I will stay for a minute or two to see if there's any questions. See a couple people on. See, we're on TikTok. We're on X as well. So again, if you have anything, let me know. More than happy to answer, or hit me up afterwards. Just DM me, and I am more than happy to show you. I'd love to show you a demo of Auto. I have a couple videos just on the NPS and CSAT as well, if you guys ever want to check that out. All right. Appreciate you all. Hopefully this got some insights. I was pretty excited to do this one. I'm pretty passionate about this, and I think it's one of the ways that technology is totally overhauling something that we've done in the industry for a long time. And I'm just really trying to get the word out. Thanks, guys.